Hey y'all, welcome back to a new episode of Sho Tell. I'm so excited to be talking about today's segment. First thing I wanted to make mention of is if you hear that I sound a little crazy, just know I have a sore throat at the moment. I'm so sorry. My voice is literally so scratchy right now, so I'm really just fighting through that. So that's why I sound a little bit pretty much. Last but not least, there's the squeaking that happens throughout when I'm talking. That is my chair. Like my chair literally, like if I move around, it just makes all sorts of noise. So I'm so sorry if y'all can hear that. First and foremost, don't forget to follow me on Instagram. I'm gonna leave my handle on the screen like always. And I will link all my other platforms in the description, so just make sure y'all follow me. And yeah, let's just get right into this video. Today's episode is going to be me discussing what it's like being 29 and never have been in a relationship or have never had a boyfriend. That is me. I was really inspired to talk about this experience of mine because when I was on YouTube, I want to say this was like a week or two ago, I was just, scrolling YouTube, my homepage, where there are videos that are suggested to me, and I saw this video of this YouTuber. Her name is Ariel Fitz. So I watched her video and she was basically talking about her experience being her age, which I think she's either a year or two younger than me, being in her late 20s, and she's also never had a boyfriend. She's never been in a relationship. So I was like, yeah, I think it's time to talk about it. It's just something I wanted to talk on because it's something that I have had a lot of different feelings about over the years as I've gotten older. So I just wanted to shed a little light on that and to also let the community know y'all are not alone. I'm just like you. And pretty much there's just nothing wrong with it. All that I can really say is this just happens to be our reality, and that's just it. Everyone's life is so different, or in our case, very similar, where we share this experience of never have been in a relationship or have never had a boyfriend, or like if you're a guy, maybe you've never had a girlfriend and you are getting up there in your later 20s or almost approaching your 30s. Because I know for me, I'm turning 30 this year. That's crazy, but yeah. And I have been single all my life. I also want to throw this out there that I did record a version of this on my TikTok, so definitely follow me there. I have basically shortened a lot of what I said there, but I plan on kind of expanding a little bit more here because with YouTube, we have a little bit more time to chit chat. Secondly, I do want to say I have some talking points on my phone so I can stay organized. And yeah, let's just begin. So, and there go that squeaking again. I'm so sorry, y'all. So I think I want to start off with mentioning how I kind of grew up. So like I said in my TikTok video, I grew up in a household that was mostly Christian. My mom was Christian. My dad was not, but when I was growing up, I pretty much got the same message from the both of them, which was to just focus on school and study Panya books, pretty much. So that's just what both of them pretty much told me. And I don't have any recollection. I don't have any memory of ever being told like, okay, Sho, like, you are getting up there, like you can go out there and like date somebody, you can have a boyfriend. I've never had that type of conversation with my parents. I will say as I've gotten older, my dad has been, not lately, but when I was, moving through my 20s, he would be like, Sho, like what's going on with these boys out here? And I would be telling him my story. He'd be like, y'all don't even want to know what my dad was saying because you just gotta be in my real life to hear what my dad was saying. But pretty much when I was growing up, it was just very much study Panya books, focus on school. As a result, in those young ages of being in elementary school, middle school, high school, and then even college, well, not so much college, just through adolescence and then like early childhood. Even though my parents encouraged me to just focus on school, granted, I focused on school because I got my degrees, I got my education, all of that. That didn't actually stop me from being a young girl and still developing crushes on boys. I was very much into boys from a young age. Like I remember being in elementary school and having crushes all the time. Elementary school, middle school, and even high school, I always had a crush on a boy. Like I always liked boys, pretty much. And kind of how I'd feel about them was just like, I am attracted to them. Like I would even go as far as to say like I would have little fantasies in my head, little dreams, things like that. Granted, I will say in high school, I can recall talking to at least 2 boys, but it never grew to be more outside of that, especially outside of school. All I would do is just see these people at school, talk to them at school, and that was it. There was nothing more to it but that. Then it wasn't until I was leaving high school, moving into college, and I happened to have a late birthday. So I was already 18 when I was in high school as a senior. And then literally the summer of me starting college, I was turning 19, and I happened to meet this guy who I was just so into. I met him on, not Hinge. Hinge wasn't a thing then. I met him, or maybe it was and I just didn't know about it, but I met him on Tinder. And so that was like my first little experience actually talking to a boy. And then eventually I ended up having my first date with this person. And then I ultimately also had my first kiss with this person. And it was just like such a fun time when it was happening and all this. I really liked him. I remember talking to him often. We texted all the time. We FaceTime. But that experience happened to be very short-lived. I only knew him for a total of maybe 3 weeks, maybe a month, if I'm not mistaken, but it didn't go past a month's time. So that also kind of made me feel like that was my first heartbreak too, y'all. So that was one of my first early experiences with the talking stage with a boy, and then having a date, and just like, you know, the little things that may come with maybe, I can't say I dated him because we only had one date. So can't say I dated him, but that was one of my first experiences being older and, you know, dealing with a boy. So there was that. And then I will say, I feel like I pretty much have thrown away dating since age 27. I have not, you know, talked to any boys since that age on a serious scale. Between age 19 to about 27, in between those years, I definitely had my fair share of talking to and meeting up with and, you know, going on some dates with some of these guys or men that I met. All of them were really close in age to me. I would say no older than 4 years older than me throughout all of my experiences with these men. I can't think about like how many men it was, but I've definitely had a handful of men that I, you know, texted, had a talking stage with, and then went on a couple dates with. But all in all, with all of these experiences, nothing ever went past a month to like a month and a half's time. And I would just like to say that with those experiences, there were 4 out of the many that I met, I really felt strongly about. Probably like 4 different guys from age 19 up until 27 in total that I actually had feelings for. In meeting some of these people, I've definitely experienced a lot of hurt when it comes to, you know, the dating experience, or like the putting yourself out there experience. That's very normal. You're not gonna put yourself out there and not experience like maybe hurt feelings. So I will say a lot of my hurt feelings have come from meeting these men who pretty much, I feel like they started something that they couldn't finish. I was not treated right. Some of these experiences that I've had, people weren't being good to me, and so that's one of the reasons why I would be like, okay, I'm just not gonna do this. Like, I've always been very much okay with being alone, even though it's like something that I desire for myself, to have like that partnership or to know what it's like to have a boyfriend. I've always very much been like, if it's gonna lead me to being hurt, I'd rather just not even put myself through it, especially because I don't feel like it's a lot to be able to be like a good person to the person that you're gonna date. So, you know, I wasn't being treated right. I met guys who were trying to talk to my friends, no planning of dates, not trying to take me out type shit. Let me get my notes pulled up too, because I want to make sure I'm saying everything. So I've been ghosted by guys, lots of lack of communication, not being treated right. So the whole like, these niggas is putting themselves out there to be dating, but they're not doing the things that a guy does when he's ready to date, which is to actually court you, to take you on dates, to actually put in the time to get to know you. Feeling like someone's only talking to me so that they can have access to my body, which I'm not okay with. Just feeling like they weren't actually interested in trying to be in a relationship. Essentially just wasting my time, because it's like, if you're not gonna do this, why are you pretending? Like, no one is telling you to do what you don't want to do. Stuff like that. A lot of times guys' actions don't line up to what they tell you. They say they want to be in a relationship, they say they want a girlfriend, but they're not doing the things that a man does when he actually wants to be in a relationship, which is calling you, texting you, checking in on you, learning more about you, things like that. And then the other things I would say that has contributed, not so much on the guy's end, but when it comes to me, like my own self, there have been times where I have met men who, you know, haven't interested me, and I was trying to see if I can make it work, you know, by getting to know them, because a lot of times I was meeting these men off dating apps. So they are presenting their dating apps in a certain way, and this is what I'm expecting to see when I meet them. And when I tell y'all, there were many times when I met these niggas in real life and I was just like, okay, that's it. Like, that's it. So it was also a combination of It was also a combination of me actually not being attracted to them when I met them in real life. That's really big for me. I cannot continue allowing someone to get to know me if I'm not actually interested in them physically. I'm sorry, but I have to be attracted to you for me to make this move any type of forward in any way. Like, that's just very much number one. I would also like to add, as I got to know some of these people, I will say that I just didn't feel like I was actually compatible with them. So that's also pretty big. And then the last, but certainly not least, I would say that I've also dealt with a lot of insecurity, or just when it comes to certain goals for myself, where I envision myself to be at a certain age. I think in my most recent experience, the last experience where I really had strong feelings for this person, ultimately I just think I was battling a lot with myself internally, and not really just physical self-esteem, but just self-esteem as a person when it comes to what I do for work, or you know, where I'm at in life, so to speak. Just not feeling like I was where I should be compared to him. I feel like that kind of would be considered like self-sabotaging. So I've had some experiences where I feel like maybe I self-sabotaged, and so that just has to do with basically not being aligned to be with this person. So those would be, you know, some of the ways that I would say like those are the reasons why I'm still single and why I have been single for most of my life. Because for me, especially as I've gotten older, I realized that I really shouldn't be dating, because I feel like when you're dating, especially as we get older and we have a lot of maturity and we know more and we have a lot of wisdom, we have to be making the right choices. When you know better, you do better. So I was at a point where like I didn't feel like I needed to be dating because I didn't have certain things lined up in my life. It just didn't make sense for me to be putting time and energy into something that, not to say it wouldn't serve me, because I do think that if you met the right person, no matter where you are in life, they would be a help to your life in some way. But I have so many goals for myself, and I hold myself to such a high standard that I felt like I can't be putting myself out here and I don't have the things that I would want someone to have, you know? And I was meeting guys who had things that I'm like, okay, I would like for my own self, but I just felt like I don't know how to put it, because I don't know how to put it. I feel like we live in such a society where when we see how people are living on social media, we really like internalize that, and we're like, okay, we need to be like that. And I think that's what was happening to me personally, a little bit, just a little bit. Granted, I know comparison is a thief of joy, but I don't know why I just couldn't sit right in my spirit and feel like okay where I was at trying to date someone. I just felt the only way I can put it is that I just felt like I wasn't good enough, to be honest with you, for this person. And I feel like I pretty much, I don't want to put it all on me, because I feel like, you know, everyone plays a part, especially when they're dealing with people. You can't just put it all on you. It's a two-way street, especially if you're trying to put yourself out there. Yeah, that's what I would say, just to be a little vulnerable. I do feel like I kind of had some self-sabotage happening because I wasn't right within myself. So naturally, it kind of rubbed off on like the relationships that I was trying to build, or like in that case, trying to see where something could go with someone that I was interested in, but it just didn't reflect really well. So yeah, how can I just recap that? So pretty much a lot of me being single has to do with just, you know, coming across the wrong men that weren't right for me because they didn't actually want what I wanted. You know, they had one foot in, one foot out, or were just trying to be casual. They were toxic, so not being honest, ghosting me, being really bad at communication, not actually trying to make an effort to get to know me or actually like date me for real. Also, when it comes to me, just like not being attracted to somebody, not feeling like I was good enough for someone, and just focusing more so on my goals so that I can feel more comfortable and confident when the time comes for when I'm ready to attract that correct person for myself. Those would be really the main reasons why I'm single. And I would also like to mention that I'm really a lover girl at heart. I feel like love is just such a beautiful thing. You really have to have a lot of love as a person for yourself to be able to attract something like that, especially when it comes to romance. And so I feel like I do have high expectations when it comes to what I would be tolerating from someone. I would need someone to be on the same page as me when it comes to, okay, we are both dating each other to figure out what can become of us. It's not, I'm talking to 5 different girls and I'm talking to you. No, absolutely not. I'm not gonna put up with that. I'm just not, because I don't do well in a situation like that. I feel like my brain would be just running wild. I feel like if your intent is to ultimately have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, You cannot entertain 5 different people or however many people on top of me. Like, you cannot juggle that. If your intent is just to have fun, okay, that makes sense, because I'm assuming all these people know about what the arrangement is, and they probably are also entertaining 5 other people too, so it just makes sense. But when it comes to you really want to have monogamy and be with one person, there's absolutely no such thing as, oh, I'm talking to all these different people, but somehow, some way we're gonna come together and become one. Like, no, I think that's BS. I feel like in my heart and in my soul, I've always been this way, and that's why I haven't been able to also be with someone, because although I do have my own emotional issues when it comes to being an avoidant sometimes, I know that at the end of the day, there has to be openness, there has to be honesty, and 2 people should really be coming together to figure it out together, just to see, okay, if something changed, maybe we have to do things differently. But I just feel like maybe I come off as like expecting too much from somebody, and men don't like that. Men don't like when you hold them accountable for certain things, and I feel like they get scared of that. I just don't see the harm in it. I don't think it's a bad thing. If you both want the same thing, why are you not trying to be on the same page, doing the same things, you know? I've never understood that. But yeah, I didn't want to get too into all the stories about where it didn't work, because I feel like those could be their own story time. But yeah, I really am just a lover girl. I feel like there is a certain way to do things, especially when you are trying to be in a monogamous partnership. I do think you have to really be focused on each other. I'm not saying it's 100%, because the level of energy that we have as people day to day changes. I just have always meant that, like, I'm expecting me and this person to just always try to figure it out together. I literally say this all the time, but I look at all of my relationships the same, in the sense that when there happens to be a conflict and something's not working, I'm expecting when that person feels like something's wrong, they come to me and they talk to me and they tell me what's going on so we can figure this out. And then obviously when we know we care about each other and we both want it to work, we're always going to come together to figure it out. But in a lot of my experiences, what happens a lot of the time is I'm the one that's always trying to do the work and try to figure things out. Although I will say, in my self-sabotagey ways, maybe I haven't really done it, like gone to them to try to figure it out. But I do feel like I be doing what I can. Sometimes I just don't feel like the men that I have met have really felt that strongly enough for me to really want to push through the challenge of like, no, like, I'm crazy about Shoshan. I actually want to figure out how I can make this work with her. I've never felt that type of energy with these guys, and that's okay. Also, I talked a little bit about when it comes to being attracted to somebody, but attraction for me is so big, and it always sucks, because I have met some guys that when I met them in real life and I could see that they were good people, it just sucked that it all boiled down to the fact that I was not attracted to these men, and I could not see myself actually kissing them, being intimate with them. Like, that was not happening. So unfortunately, I did have to go ahead and pack that up. And you know, I'm sure I've hurt some people in the process unintentionally, but one thing I can say is I have been honest. I have been real with these niggas. They cannot say that they have been real with me. You know what men like to do? They like to peace out and say absolutely nothing to you. Unless they have high emotional intelligence, they might have that conversation with you. But I have very rarely, I can't even recall, like, really having a conversation with a guy saying, you know, we met, we had a date, we did this, we did that. But ultimately, this is why it didn't progress into anything else. A lot of times these people just bye-bye and you don't hear anything. And like, that's also fine. That is an answer in itself that shows where their level of communication is, and you know, that can still be an answer. But it would just be nice if we actually took the time to kind of get to know each other. We actually went on some dates, we spent some time with each other, but you know, for whatever reason it didn't work out to actually have that conversation about, you know, it was a pleasure getting to know you, whatever, but ultimately this is why. And then you just have a better understanding, because sometimes you really don't know. You have to sometimes create your own meaning for why something didn't work. But yeah, y'all, that's what I would say. I will also like to add, at this moment, I'm currently perfectly okay with being 29, never had a boyfriend, never been in a relationship. I'm actually very okay with this. Now, years ago when I was 18, 19, 20, 21 and so on, then I definitely used to feel some type of way about myself. I used to feel like, okay, what's wrong with me? Because at the time I had a lot of friends that had boyfriends, even though seeing people happy, you really never know what's really going on. But at this age, having the level of maturity that I have and the level of understanding and wisdom, I can honestly say that I'm good. Like, I feel happy. I'm so proud of myself because I've done so much work over the last couple months recently, especially when it comes to my goals for myself and, you know, just leveling up as a young woman. I feel a lot better about myself, so I'm sure soon I'll be putting myself out there to see what is out there for me. Yeah, I just want y'all to know y'all are not alone. There is nothing wrong with you. This is just your reality and it's okay. And I also want to say that when it's your time, it will be your time, and what's meant for you will never miss you. And as long as you're being open, of course, I think if that is the desire of your heart to know what that experience is like, to have a man, to be with someone, I think in God's time it will happen. And yeah, I'm just trusting on him because I know he got me. But yeah, y'all, that's just my experience. I just wanted to talk on it, and I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see y'all in my next episode. So yeah, bye.